Vogue cares about climate change. The last place I would say to find information about climate change, protests, and young people especially, and their involvement in it, is Vogue. And that is what I want to talk about today. June issue of the Vogue, I was surprised that they covered all these protests about climate change. An example we can see here, as you can see in terms of space, they've covered 2 pages on this, kind of highlighting the key names and figures of young people who have been part of the climate change protests. And now this is really interesting for me, because when you think of the audience for Vogue, are we thinking people who are environmentally conscious? And this is what made me think, actually, surely everyone should be environmentally conscious. Hearing about these young people makes us more aware of the severity of the issue. So in this particular article, Vogue has mentioned 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, even as young as 9-year-olds, all around the world who have stood up and made significant marks in these climate change protests. I guess a moment of celebration. I think we're very quick on criticising companies and brands who aren't necessarily closely linked with sustainability, but brands such as Vogue have done an amazing job in, this particular article has got nothing to do with fashion or music or entertainment. It's talking about the current issues. It could be argued that Vogue is actually completely changing the meanings, so making what it is to be fashionable, what it is to incorporate beauty, as completely different. It is this article called War Paint. It says that dressing up is an occasion, it's celebration, it's hope. And so every day putting on your sunscreen, your eyeliner, is an act of faith. That life is just more than about survival, feeding, eating, reproducing. It's a preparation for an elevated existence. And I absolutely loved this concept, and how I think this links with the whole revolution of sustainability is that rather than assuming that fashion is something toxic and polluting, which it has been seen as, why don't we see it as a way of a hopeful thing, and how we can use fashion and beauty and makeup to represent the sustainable shift. So what does this mean? Rather than consuming to look a certain way, you're consuming to represent a certain thing. So what you're wearing, what brands you consume from, what ideologies of those brands you support represent what you think. But overall, do I think Vogue cares about climate change? I think a part of it is due to the pressure of consumers wanting to hear more about it, but for them to spend that much time, research and effort into putting it into their Vogue issue, I think they do care. Are they doing enough? No, I don't think so. I think this is a great starting point to get to talk about it, but I think it is very, very important to not just tread on the outskirts, not just twisting meanings, but sort of authentically playing part. So Vogue supporting perhaps more local independent boutiques that incorporate eco-friendly and sustainable materials and ways of production. I just want to end it with this key question. Do you think that luxury fashion is actually, paradoxically, more sustainable? Because if it is more expensive, it means that you're not going to buy as much. And if it is more expensive, there's more work gone into it in terms of specialization, handcrafted, resources that are sometimes organically produced. So what do you think? Do you think luxury fashion is actually sustainable fashion?